Welcome to the video. I haven't made a meal prep video in quite some time, so I'm gonna do that for you guys and also give you guys a few meal prep tips as far as planning out your meal preps. So first thing, I had field bars in my cupboard. I've had these for a while and I figured I should just incorporate them into one of my weeks. So that's the first thing that I accounted for. I always like to track things in advance, so I know prior to like what I'm going to be getting in from a calorie and macro perspective. So that's going to be a snack throughout the week. I'm not typically a snacker because I like good hefty portions, but I might just sneak this in with my breakfast that I'll get to. But other than that, let's start with the first meal. 3 ingredients. So we got 93% lean ground beef. The leanness matters a lot. And then wild rice. I think this is the most underutilized carb source there is. So flavorful, and it's just a quality carb source. Yeah, there's a seasoning packet in there, but macros, it's like typical rice, other than you add a little bit of olive oil to it for the recipe. And then I'm just gonna have a frozen veggie with it. So brown this up, and then cook this, follow the instructions on the box. And I looked at the boxes when I was at the store to kind of get an idea of how much carbs I was gonna get from the boxes. And I would have incorporated 3 boxes. If I needed more carbs, I would have just did like 1 potentially, but no. For sure gonna do 2 boxes. And this is gonna be 4 meals worth. So I have the field bars, I have 5 to 6 of those, so I might incorporate those until they're gone. And then this will be 4 days worth, and then my other meal is actually 5 days worth. So let's start with this one. All we gotta do is get some water boiling. So this calls for 1 3/4 cups per box. That's gonna be equivalent to 3.5 cups. And fun fact, 1 cup of water is about 240 grams. So I just weigh it out, and then I'm also gonna add in the oil that it calls for. So 3.5 times 240 cripes. Let me figure this out. I don't want to think too much today. It's gonna be 840 grams. Perfect, 842, close enough. And then it also calls for 1 tablespoon of butter or olive oil. I do have both, but I'll just go with olive oil because that's simpler. And I can just weigh that out as 14 to 15 grams per tablespoon of olive oil. So we're gonna go 28 to 30 grams. So now we're gonna start to boil that, get that all cranked up. And now as that's preheating, we're gonna go to the ground beef. So what's super nice about getting the meat out of the full service case or whatever at the grocery store is that they weigh it out individually. I always ask for 1 pound packages just because. So this one's 0.99 pounds, this one's 1.09. So we got 2.08 pounds. If I want to be very nitpicky, I could track it as 8 ounces and 8.1 ounces or something like that, but I might just track it as 8 ounces, which is completely fine. It's close enough, especially since it's a protein source, a lean protein source. So let's just get that in the pan. Every chunk counts. And my favorite seasoning right now, by far, is the coffee rub by Traeger. Not a sponsor yet. So Traeger, I think I have already asked them for a sponsor, but oh well, it's good stuff. Hey, if there's something that I really like, I'm gonna promote it regardless if sponsored. That's one thing you could always count on me for, is I will not promote anything I do not believe in. So then I also go with garlic, salt, and pepper. So seasoning is crucial. People always under-season, and sodium's your friend. It's electrolyte. It's your top electrolyte. Especially if you're sweating quite a bit, you need it. Okay, now we brown this. As that's going, I'm gonna get the broccoli going in the microwave, get that all cooked up just so it's ready to go and so I can get it into the containers. Okay, now I want to show you guys how I distribute these between meal prep containers. I always use the exact same meal prep containers for each individual meal. And now I'm gonna just eyeball the ground beef to get it close to even. Now I'm gonna weigh each container in grams just to see like how close they are. Just try to make sure they are fairly even. And if they're within like 10 grams of each other, that works completely fine. That one's a little heavier. Okay, so take a little from here to that one. A little here to that one. Okay, now let's reweigh, get fairly close. Sometimes I get really picky. 190, 190, 193, 186. So perfect, plenty even. I don't need to be, I could make them all pretty close to 190, but that's a little chaotic or psychotic. Now we're gonna do the exact same thing with the rice. So I'm just gonna eyeball it, weigh them out again, and disperse it evenly as needed. I am a person that does not like to waste any food, especially during a fat loss phase. And I could, like I tell everybody, in an entire year, I bet I could put all the food that I waste during the year on one single plate. I think that's kind of how I was raised, because I was always like the garbage disposal. My parents would just put the green beans in front of me and just say, finish them. Or if there's anything that needed to be finished, they'd just put it in front of me and I'd finish it gladly. All right, now we'll do the exact same thing. 449, 444. I always put them in order too of what the heaviest one was. 432. Perfect. Very evenly distributed. Now with the broccoli, since each bag is 4 cups, I tracked it as 2 cups per container since we got 8 cups here. And with these, I'm not gonna, like, they're so low calorie that I'm just gonna eyeball half a container, half a bag into each container and just go with it. The more calorie dense the food is, the more it matters to be a lot more precise with like the weighing. So that's the first meal done. Ground beef, wild rice, frozen broccoli, along with seasonings of course, but everybody has seasonings on hand, I hope. And that is simple enough. If you've never tried this meal before, I highly recommend you go for it. The wild rice is a game changer. Like, yes, ground beef and plain white rice is really good, but do it. So let's put these in the fridge and move on to the next meal. Moving on to the next meal. I was prepping this as I was cooking that last meal. So we got chicken thigh here. I always go with chicken thigh now rather than chicken breast because it has way more flavor, or at least I do like a combination. If I'm doing crock pot chicken that's shreddable, I'll do like half-half, just so it's like a little bit leaner, but it also gets the flavor from the chicken thigh, which is a little bit fattier. And one tip that I want to note is that the nutrition on labels is based on how it's packaged, unless otherwise specified. So 4 ounces raw is what the nutrition label is based off of. So 160 calories, 22 grams of protein, and 8 grams of fat. And 4 ounces raw. It's gonna weigh significantly different afterwards. But I got 2 of these packages, and just based on the weight on the front, I knew it was gonna be between 2.5 and 3 pounds. And I still weighed it out in advance just to get a full amount, and it was 2 pounds, 9.2 ounces, and that's gonna get me, since I'm making 5 meals of this, it's gonna get me 8.24 ounces of chicken thigh per meal. So we're gonna grill this up in the seasoning that I used with this. Traeger, once again, I'm gonna plug you, and you better sponsor me soon. So the pork and poultry run, really good. Typically I smoke this, but I just wanna do things a little bit quicker today. I'm just gonna throw it on the propane grill, call it good, get a good char, cook it well, and I guess the other things I'm mixing this with is pasta, olive oil, and Parmesan, and broccoli, frozen broccoli again. So frozen veggies for the win this week. It's one of my favorite meals. So you can also find all my meals on my website. I shouldn't say all, but the ones that I like the most, I put my recipes up on my website, whether it's a meal prep or some like sweet treat type of thing that you can incorporate into your nutrition, along with the macros. So let's go grill. As the chicken's cooking, we're gonna make the pasta. I calculated it out and I'm gonna need about 100 grams per meal. So I got 500 grams of pasta here. And that's gonna vary from meal prep to meal prep every time I make this meal. Like one week I might need 125 grams of pasta, depending on like how much carbs I need from this specific meal to make sure my carbs hit what my daily goal is, according, like based on what the other meals also consist of. So 500 grams going in right now. And I'm only cooking all of it in advance because I'm gonna be away from home. But if I was eating at home every single day, I'd make the pasta fresh daily, just because, I don't know, it's better in a way. But whatever works for you personally, so let's do it. All right, here we go again. We're gonna disperse it evenly throughout the 5 meal prep containers that are all the exact same container. Make sure they weigh within like 10 grams of each other. $278. $278. Perfect. They're all within 4 grams of each other. That is plenty close. Now it's time to go get the chicken. All right, so we're gonna do the exact same thing once again, because this is for sure way less than 2 pounds, 9.2 ounces like it was raw. It's probably like 1.5 pounds. So it's crazy how big of a difference that makes. So if you've been tracking the nutrition based off the label after it's cooked, your nutrition numbers have been off by quite a bit. So let's evenly distribute this. All right, perfect. They're all within 5 grams of each other. Now, I'm just gonna make the broccoli again. I don't need to show you that. So that's this meal. Oh, wait, no, we're supposed to add olive oil, of course. There's a couple other things. So like I said earlier, 1 tablespoon of olive oil is about 14, 15 grams. Honestly, might run out of olive oil here. And I absolutely did. So what I'm gonna do for this last one is I'll just use a tablespoon of butter, since it's pretty much about the same numbers as olive oil. So I'll put that in there right now so that it melts, and then stir it on up so it's already like mixed in with there. But even when I heat it up, it'll melt regardless. So that's an easy substitute to make. 1 tablespoon of olive oil for 1 tablespoon of butter. Yes, I think olive oil is slightly healthier, but it's not the end of the world. Nothing's off limits. Eat by numbers, make it work. And 1 tablespoon of butter is also about 15 grams. Perfect. Nailed it. That's a little bit more, but it's not the end of the world. If my goal was to be a bodybuilder or get ready for a bodybuilding show, then yes, like every little gram does matter, but it's off by, it's 17 grams. So 2 grams more. It's gonna be like 10 extra calories, 15 calories. Now the thing that makes a meal really good is Parmesan. The macros on grated Parmesan is on point. So it's very low calorie, but it also gives your meals a lot of flavor. So 25 grams of this, which is actually a lot. And it's gonna be so good. Cheese is life, baby. Oh yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. And you know that's gonna be really freaking good. So there you have it. Parmesan chicken pasta, which is the most recent meal prep that I put up on my website. So go check that out. There's also other recipes on there like lasagna. That's one of my favorite ones. Sesame chicken's up there. The Thai peanut chicken. There's such good ones that I know you guys will absolutely love. Food is like my favorite thing in the world. I've said that so many times, and I think you guys will enjoy all my recipes, so go check them out. For the third and final meal, it's the most simple one that requires zero cooking. So I tracked those first two in advance as well as the field bar. And then this one is super flexible, so that's why I'm tracking it last, and I could like add a certain amount of certain things like to make sure I hit my daily numbers. So that's one of the main tips I want you guys to take away from this is save your most simple and flexible meal that you can just whip together every single day and adjust it based on what you need. So we're going overnight oats. If you know me, I've been eating this combo for a very long time, 5 years. So I got quick oats, blueberry muffin, one of my favorite flavors from BPN. Currently, code ZACHER, Z-A-C-H-E-R, does get you 10% off as I'm recording this video. And then I'm going to use frozen blueberries and then milk and add cinnamon on it. And that's going to be all I need to do. So it's going to take me like 2 minutes to make each one. Let's actually time that to see how long it takes to make each one. Most of the time I don't make them in advance, but just because I'm going to be on the road for the Farmers 5K this weekend, so I'm leaving tomorrow, and I'll probably have one of these meals right before I leave in a bowl, and then I'll have 2 of them made up for Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday is when I'm coming home. So I'll have at least 2 of them prepped in advance. So let's time this. Frozen blueberries, always convenient, and we're going with the whole milk today. You don't have to. It's just extra flavor, I guess. Whatever works for your goals. Yes. 2% or the fat-free is going to be higher protein and lower fat. And this is going to be a little higher fat, slightly less protein, I think. No, same amount of protein, just more fat, which is completely fine. It fits into my numbers. So I already have it planned out. 60 grams of the oats, 140 grams of the blueberries, which is around a cup, and then a cup of this milk, which is 240 grams, and then a scoop of the protein powder, which is 34 grams. And just by weighing it out, it's the most accurate weigh. All right, go time. Ready, go. Oh, just under a minute. I needed to beat that. 59 seconds to make a meal. Simple as that. Stir it up, throw it in the fridge, and it's good to go. So since I'm going to be driving 5.5 hours tomorrow, I do have my little cooler that I'm going to put this in so it doesn't get warm, of course. The blueberries are already frozen, but since I mix it up today, they'll thaw overnight in the fridge, but put it in the cooler. And then right when I get to my destination, put it in the fridge. And it's good to go. I know exactly what is in there from a macronutrient perspective. And that is 549 calories, 46 grams of protein, 67 grams of carbs, and 11 grams of fat. And I'm pretty sure like over the next couple days, I'll have my field bar with that. Just because I'm not, like I said, I'm not really a snacker, and having a field bar midday, it just kind of teases me. But yeah. This was the last meal I tracked, and it could have varied anywhere from 40 grams of oats to 80 grams of oats, just depending how many carbs I needed, and I would have adjusted the amount of protein powder I had based on how much protein I needed. Like if I needed a little bit more, I could have added another like half scoop or something. And then the blueberries, I just like to stick with a cup for that, get some fruit, because nutrients are important. So those are my 3 meals and a snack that I'm going to be having, and my total for the week is 2,413 calories, 188 grams of protein, 230 grams of carbs, and 87 grams of fat, which I always say give yourself a range of just be within like 200 calories of your calorie goal, and then for the macronutrients be within 10 grams of your protein and carbs, and then within like 5 grams of your fat. But the numbers that matter the most are your calories and your protein by far. So don't stress a ton about your carbs and fat. And one other thing, since I am like training for a half marathon right now, I do have a speed workout day during the week and also a longer run. So during those days, I'm going to need some additional calories, and that's when I implement G1M Sport, which is a carb and electrolyte mix. So within 1 scoop of this, it's 80 calories and 20 grams of carbs. So I'll likely have this prior to both of those runs, and the long run prior to, I'll have like one of these fruit and grain bars. These are definitely not healthy, but it's just easy, quick carbs. So it's like a Nutri-Grain. But yeah, your calories don't need to stay the same every single day. It should vary based off like what you're working towards. But if your goal is simply just fat loss or muscle building, I always recommend that your workouts are pretty consistent from a calorie burn perspective. So then your nutrition can be consistent throughout the week, and then you don't have to like make adjustments on the fly. And also, your weekly total calories matter more than any one single day. That's given me a ton of freedom, as well as a ton of clients' freedom to play around with the numbers and allow for a higher calorie day. So even if your goal is like 2,200 calories, it's a random number, and you want to have a 3,000 calorie day, you can absolutely implement it. It's just that like the following day, you'd have to reduce your calories by 500 to 800, which is very doable. So it's not like right when midnight hits, your body's not like, oh, how many calories did we have today? Oh shoot, we had 3,000, not 2,200. Let's immediately just store that as fat. No, because your body's gonna still like be utilizing that energy that you've given it from that prior day. So it's just your averages over time, and give yourself like a wider window so it doesn't put such stress on like one single meal or one single decision. That's just a tip to make it more of an enjoyable lifestyle, I guess. And also linked below is meal prep guide, where I talk about like emergency meals or meals that you can whip together within like a minute. That's one of the topics I cover in there, along with like the 5 meal prep methods and things like that. So go give that a download. It's 28 pages. I put like 2 months of time into that, and I think it could be very beneficial to you. So thank you for tuning in. If you made it this far, I appreciate you. Like, comment, subscribe, and remember, there's always something you can do to support your health and fitness. Never off track. Cheers.